Iowa fight. Now our fifth story out front. New video tonight of 28-year-old George Zimmerman describing his injuries to investigators. Now, I want to make sure you know exactly when this is. This video is the day after he killed 17-year-old Trayvon Martin in a reenactment.
I have a broken nose. She said I could use stitches, but she'd rather not put them in as long as I didn't mess with my head, because the skin was already healing nicely.
Special Prosecutor Angela Corey released that video, as well as written statements from the Sanford Police Department, in which the lead detective says Zimmerman could have diffused the situation, saying, quote, on at least 2 occasions, George Martin Zimmerman failed to identify himself as a concerned resident or a neighborhood watch member to Trayvon Benjamin Martin. Benjamin Crump is an attorney for Trayvon Martin's family. Mark NeJame is a CNN legal analyst. Both are out front. Benjamin, let me just start with you, though, and ask you about that video, because what stood out to me hearing that when you know, you're talking about someone acting in self-defense, afraid of their life, is he said, I have a broken nose. She, assuming referring to a nurse, I could use stitches, but she didn't want to put them in as long as I didn't mess with my head because the skin was already healing nicely. This is the day after.
Right. And Aaron, if he had life-threatening injuries, why didn't he go to the hospital? And we're still waiting to see the x-rays of this alleged fractured nose. Again, we have to rely on stuff we haven't seen. We want to see the medical records. It says he only has a likely broken nose. Seems like every day the bandages get bigger.
Mark, let me ask you a question, though. Should we have any question about what is being released, what the media and the public are allowed to see, because this is coming from the special prosecutor's office?
Well, we know that in a case such as this, things are going to be orchestrated. They're going to be brought out. They all need to be brought out legally, but they're also brought out for impact, for strategic purposes. In this particular case, we have you know, somebody, a defendant, Zimmerman, giving statements. And we see the injuries. So now we really need to now take all of this and put it all together, this puzzle, and figure out what really happened here. This is just simply another piece. But yeah, you're going to find a lot of these things dropped very strategically because they could have all been released a long time ago. We know that.
Right. I mean, Benjamin, isn't there something, too, that, I mean, sort of how this dribbles out? I mean, each side, your side and the other side, are, you know, trying to put out things dribble by dribble that would, you know, influence opinion.
Well, no, that's not true. We don't get to put out anything. The state attorney gets to put out information, and the Zimmerman legal defense team. We would hope that the state attorney would just put everything out, and that way it can't be leaked or manipulated. But the biggest thing, I think, was said was what the lead detective made the determination, at least on 2 different occasions, Zimmerman had an opportunity to diffuse the situation. He didn't have to get out the car, Aaron, but then when he got out of the car, he could at least said I was a neighborhood watch volunteer to diffuse the situation, and it's likely that Trayvon Martin would be living today, but he didn't. And the lead detective today got demoted, and that's one of those things we have to question. He told what he thought was the truth.
Right, and let's just show that Detective Chris Serino had said the encounter was avoidable. I think that's what you're referring to. What he said was, quote, if Zimmerman had remained in his vehicle and awaited the arrival of law enforcement, or conversely, if he had identified himself to Martin as a concerned citizen. That's what you're talking about, right? That he never said who he was to Trayvon Martin. I mean, that goes straight to your argument.
Absolutely. Had he not profiled and pursued Trayvon Martin, then none of this would have happened. Trayvon Martin would be living, and that's really the crux of the matter here, not these alleged injuries that, you know, it's a day after, 2 days after, and they keep getting worse and worse. Trayvon Martin was dead. We know what his injuries are. It was a bullet through the heart.
Aaron, I'm sorry. If I could, though, I think what's very important to point out here is that, you know, we have to figure out, did law enforcement do a good job or did they not do a good job? We've heard from different sides that there's been a lot of criticism that Chief Lee didn't do his job and such. I've been doing this for 33 years as a criminal defense lawyer, and I've never seen this much work done on a case with this many witness statements, this much videotaping, and now a man who I respect, Mr. Crump, but he's acknowledging, and I think he's doing a fabulous job on behalf of his client, but he's acknowledging that Serino, the law enforcement officer, did a good job, and he came to a conclusion. So I think we have to really determine, was a proper full investigation done, and if it was done, then we have to either say they did a good investigation or they didn't do a good investigation. But we can't really pick and choose when it fits a particular side, one side or the other. I think that's only fair to law enforcement who conducted the investigation. If they did a bad job, they deserve to be criticized. But if they did a good job, we need to acknowledge that.
All right. Well, thanks very much to both of you. My question just remains sort of how this stuff appears to be sort of selectively, bits and pieces, leaking out. I think worth talking about that more. Out front next, the greatest athletes in the world, the home of supersized fries. Something doesn't add up.